A new feature has been added to Anime Studio Pro 10, and that is something that we'll call elbow bones, but it's not really named that in the program. That's how it's used. We'll come up to the Bone pull-down menu, and there's an item here called Create Smooth Joint for Bone Pair. Let's pay attention to a couple words, joint and pair. Pair is really important because it only works for two bones, and the bones have to be in a straight line when you initiate this function. So, a couple points I want to bring up. This effect works equally well on vector layers and imported image layer or pixel-based layers. However, on the vector layers, I'm highlighting this now because I just drew a rectangle, but I went in and added points in the middle. When this effect takes place on a vector, it needs to actually know where the points are to make it bend. It can't make this stuff up. It kind of figures it out for a pixel-based item, but not on a vector-based one. That's something you have to do. With that done, let's go ahead and I'll show you something so that you don't feel like you're losing your mind. I've got two bones selected right now. We see them turned red. I've got the top bone layer selected. But if I come up to the Bone pull-down menu, this isn't accessible. The only way you can make that function accessible is to check the layer below the bone layer that you want this to have the effect take place on. So now with the vector layer selected, we'll come back up to the Bone pull-down, and we'll choose Create Smooth Joint for Bone Pair. Now you can have more bones in the chain or the skeleton you're working on, but this effect only works well with two bones right there. If I come back to the top bone vector layer, now when I grab the bone manipulation tool, this bends, and what happens is we're still getting a little bit of a funny bend right here. That could be fixed with a little bit of a smart bone that we looked at in another movie, but this is a much better reproduction or action that's taking place right here than ones that have happened before. So this is an improvement. It can save some time. By comparison, if I come down to the bone pixel layer, choose the actual image layer that I want. Let me grab my bone tool. I'll go ahead and drag a lasso around that to select those two. Bone, create smooth joint for bone pair. Come back to the top level and grab this bone that's further down the chain here and pull it up. I can do that, and it looks like we're getting a strange kind of truncated or cut corner right here. However, if I go ahead and do a preview render, we'll see that the program actually figures it out and smooths that out for us. Now, it works, in my opinion, much better with pixel-based art than it does, for example, with vector-based art, because the instructions in the vector-based art is very explicit, and it's telling you exact points that it occurs or does not occur based on how many points you have on the vector. On the pixel one, it kind of just figures it out. So if we do a quick preview again, you'll see the difference between these two. Same effect, same bones. It's kept the shape similar here, but we get this funny little kind of horseshoe thing starting. I'm not saying it's without issues, but if you know that, you can deal with it successfully, especially by the addition of some smart bones when you work with this function in Anime Studio Pro.